Hello, boys and girls. This is me, Miss Drury. You should be on, this is your social studies work. So when you click on social studies for today, it says 9 natural features of communities foldable. So this is something that you will need to, at the end, take a picture of and send via Google Classroom, so that we can see if you followed along with the directions with the teacher. So it says, students will need 1 piece of paper and a pencil. So once you get those things, you can even pause the video and go ahead and get a paper and a pencil. I am going to be using my trusty Flair pen here, teacher's favorite pens. And then I just have a regular sheet of just copy paper, the first one that I could grab. You could also do it on a sheet of notebook paper. It just depends on what you have. And we're going to be looking at a bunch of different pictures today and creating the foldable to kind of organize all that information all together. So let's get started. Bear with me here because I only have one hand because I'm holding my phone. I wish I had like a strap for my head so that I could put my phone on my head or something, like a GoPro cam or something. But what I did is I folded my paper. I folded it long ways, kind of like a taco, like it could be a taco. Okay. And I folded it like that. All right. And then the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to be labeling it with certain, I guess, categories. So you're going to split your paper in half one way. So let me show you what I mean by that. So right here in the center of your paper, you're going to want to draw a line. Okay, so that's what my paper looks like. Then you're going to draw one over here, right in the middle. Okay, so now you have 2. You have a big one over here, though. And then now you've got to draw a line here. And that separates your paper into 4 parts. Okay? The first part that you are going to write is landforms, okay? So let's write that. Okay, you write that on your paper. You can pause your video so you can see how to spell it and then move on to the next one. The next portion is going to say natural resources. Natural resources. Okay? Pause the video if you need a little time to spell, but I'm going to move on. The next third portion of your paper is going to say climate. And the last one is going to say natural hazards. Okay, so you've got your 4 parts: landforms, natural resources, climate, and natural hazards. And then what we're going to do is we're going to flip it up here and we're going to write some stuff inside of it. So Miss Drury is learning as she goes here, and I feel like I am going to need to cut where the little lines are so that I can actually flip. So if you've got scissors around your house, here's what I'm going to do. I am trying to do this with one hand. Hold on. All right, I'm going to let y'all look at my computer screen for a second. Okay, so I'm going to cut that. Cut this. There's my coffee. Yummy, yummy. Pumpkin spice latte. My kids with a sloth. And ta-da, surprise. So I cut along the lines here and created kind of this flip book almost to help me out with what I'm going to write. Okay. So first thing is, it's what is a landform? So a landform, if we look at it, a landform is a natural feature of the earth, okay? So I am going to put here under landforms, I'm going to put a natural feature of the earth. So natural feature of the earth. And earth is capitalized because it is the name of a special place. Again, you can pause as you go. I'll write a little faster to try to get through this. Natural resources are materials that come from nature, okay? So I'm going to write that down. Natural features that come from, or materials that come from nature. Materials that come from nature. Ta-da! Pause the video if you need to. Copy that down. Climate. Okay, so I'm going to say that climate is a lot like weather. In fact, it is weather, but it's the natural weather that we have more than, you know, just like our normal weather pattern. Like in San Antonio and Somerset, it's normally hot and then not so hot. So we don't have 4 seasons like some places do. So climate is the normal weather for the area. Okay? So it's just the normal weather for the area that you live in. Fill that in. And then natural hazards. So hazards is something that's bad. If they say that's hazardous to your health, then they're telling you don't do that. You could get hurt. Okay, so if it's a natural hazard, it's something that happens in nature that's not so good. So we're going to put that it is an event that can hurt the environment. Okay, so I'm going to put an event from nature, that can hurt environment. Okay, so there you go. Again, during this time, you can pause your video if you need to. So this is what it should look like. We've got our vocabulary words, and then we've got a definition. So down underneath, now we're going to look at certain pictures and trying to figure out what could actually, you know, what are some examples of each thing, and then what does it look like in our community. So now I'm going to go up to what you would see on your screen, and you can definitely click on these. So here are some landform pictures. Okay, so here we go. So what do you guys see? You can say it out loud, even though I can't hear you. What do you see? You see right here, there's a curvy piece of water here. That's called a river. Okay, we've got this flat grassy area called a plain. Okay, we've got this little area right here that could be considered like a valley, or it could also be considered hills. Okay, we've got like a coast. There's the coast. Looks a little different than our coast. We've got a desert, right? We've got like these little mountainous areas. This little flat part is called a plateau. Kind of like a plate is flat, a plateau is flat. And then right here, we've got some mountainous areas, and it can also be called possibly a canyon. So some of the landforms that are from nature on land, we're gonna flip our little paper up, this landform part, and we're gonna list a couple, okay? So I'm gonna put mountain. Let's put hills. Let's put plains, because that's flat land. Okay, and I think we're probably good with just those. Don't want you to have to write too much, so you can pause. And then what I want you to think of is when we're looking at these types of areas, what do we actually have here? Do we have mountains? Do we have hills? Do we have plains? What does our land look like? So here, this is going to be where you write down our landforms. And when I say our landforms, guys, I mean what's here in Somerset, San Antonio, the areas where we live. What are our landforms? Okay, next would be natural resources, okay? So you'll be going back to here. You can click on natural resources to help you out. You can see the pictures a little bit better, but here's some stuff. So natural resources are animals. We've got fish. This looks like kind of like is this an anemone? Anemone from Dory. Coral, okay? We've got this water that comes from nature. We've got, looks like plant life, okay? And dirt and soil. We've got rocks. We've got trees, okay? It's materials that come from nature. So let's list some of those and let's see. So we've got water, and it's things that humans use. Do we use water? Absolutely. Rocks. Do we use rocks? We do sometimes. Trees. Ooh, that's a good one. Trees we'd get quite a bit from. And then animals. All different kinds of animals depending on where you are. So let's put our resources. What do we have around here that humans can use from nature? Okay, so you're going to fill that part out by yourself. And what I'd like for you to do is at least fill out two landforms, two resources that we have in this area. Okay, let's move on. Now we've got climate, the normal weather in the area. Now, depending on where you live, the climate could be different. So we've got the climate pictures here. Okay, so if we're looking at the weather, what types of weather could we have? Now here, we've got some mountains. Looks like it has a little bit of snow on it. Here's some snow. Okay. Here's an area where there is some snow on the mountains, but it's just on the tops. Ooh, we've got what looks to be like a desert. And then we've got here where there's just some fresh grass, like up here. And it looks like, ooh, it looks like it might rain. So if we're thinking of types of weather or climate that we have, what kind of weather could it be? So we could have cold, which is not very popular here. We could have hot and dry because it doesn't rain a lot. The climate could be like a wet climate, meaning that it rains a lot. So we have cold, hot and dry, wet. So what is our climate like here? What would you put here? It's really pretty simple. We have two different kinds of climate. That's the kind of weather that we usually have throughout the year, normally. Okay, so does it normally rain here? Is it normally hot here? Is it normally dry? Is it normally cold? Like, what is it like? Okay, last one is natural hazards. What exactly can happen in nature that can cause some problems? So here are some of them. There's volcanoes. There's flooding, okay, because that house is a little underwater. Ooh, tornado. I believe this is supposed to be like an earthquake, okay? We've got a blizzard where it's snowing so much. And then we've got fires that can sometimes start from nature. So let's write some of those down under natural hazards. So we've got, let's put volcano. Do we have volcanoes here? We've got flooding. Do we have flooding here sometimes? Blizzard. Do we ever get stuck in our houses because of the snow? Tornadoes. Okay, so if you think about, oh, and you know, another natural hazard I kind of think could be a drought. Some people might argue with me on that one, but a drought is when it is extremely dry and it causes a lot of things to die. Animals, things like that. That's also a natural hazard from not having a lot of rain. So what are some things that we have here? So I'm going to put our hazards, okay? And then remember, the stuff for our hazards has to do with you in this area, okay? You're driving around in your four-wheeler. It could be a hazard, but is it actually a natural hazard from nature? Okay, so you have to think about that. So your job is to fill in these portions. Ms. Drury has done some examples for you, which you can completely use if you'd like. But when you are finished, really all you need to do is send a picture of your completed 8 items, your 2 for landforms, 2 for resources, 2 for climate, and 2 for hazards. And then you'll be done with social studies for the day. I hope that that helped you out, boys and girls. I hope that this uploads because yesterday's was a mess. Thank you for being patient with us, and I look forward to teaching y'all something else virtually. Okay, talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.